Hello. Hopefully you can hear me okay with this wind, bruh, and everything going on. I want to talk to you all quickly, not necessarily quickly. I don't know why we do that to ourselves, but I want to talk to you all about the impact of your relationship with your parents and your experiences with them on your personal success and your journey. It is one that I've lived over and over and over and over and over again until I finally broke the cycle by going no contact with my parents. So I'm going to tell you about one specific event today, and well, one specific experience that kind of expands over three different parts of it, okay? Just so that you kind of get an idea of how this shows up, and you may recognize the same things in your own world, in your own experiences with your parents. And hopefully this will help you to shift the way that you look at it. So my name is Kaya. I am a trained mental health professional. I do not currently work as a therapist, but I did child and family therapy for about 8 years, and I've worked in the mental health field since 2012. And what I really care about is you recovering from the experiences that you've had with your parents and freeing yourself from that so that you can live the life that you truly desire, the life that you've known you were supposed to live from probably a very young age if you're like me. Some of us found that a little bit later, and that's okay. Wherever you are, that's where you are, okay? No judgments here. We do not judge ourselves, we do not judge each other, okay? So, as a part of my career, I was invited to write a book. Like, it just came to me. I did not seek this experience. It actually came to me, which was very awesome. But at the same time, a lot of my childhood experiences and beliefs about myself, which came from my parents, as I'll explain, they came front and center to the surface. Like, I'm here now, bitch. Like, what you gonna do? um, so I was approached by a publishing company, Penguin House, which is actually a pretty big publishing company. I'm sure you could probably look at 3 books in your house right now, and they're from Penguin House, right? And they contacted me. They said, "Hey, Kaya, we see your work that you're doing with mental health, and we want you to write this book for us. It is a teen devotional for young girls with anxiety." And I'm like, yes, right up my alley, right? So initially, I'm very excited, and I know that I am capable of doing this. However, writing that book was one of the hardest times of my life. When I tell y'all I was challenged in every single way, I had so much anxiety during the entire writing process. And what it brought me back to, so we're gonna go backwards and how I got here, and then talk about that experience during that time, and then even what happened afterwards with my parents that left some pretty deep wounds. Okay. So I decided to go to college and get my degree in social work. And that's exactly what I did. I am one of those that I've known what I wanted to do in my life from a very young age. And I was like, ain't nothing stopping me. And that's just what I did. Um, when my family adopted my little brother when I was in about 10th grade, I think. And that was just all that I needed, really, to know, okay, this is the path. I knew that I always wanted to work with adoption and foster care and things like that. It just had found its way in my life through different avenues. And I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And then once we started that process with my brother, it showed me how I could do that and the different paths that it could lead me. So that's what I did. I went to school. But my parents, even though on the outside they were very much, oh yeah, you can do with your life what you want to do, blah, 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 it was very different when we were actually doing it. And there was a lot of invalidation. There was a lot of ignoring what I had to say, dismissing what I had to say. One example of that is I was taking a college summer course on adoption. And they were talking about how important it is to be honest with adoptees about their story and their adoption and not hiding it from them and making them think their family is one thing and then finding out later in life what it actually is and how detrimental that can be. And so I go home and I sit my parents down and I'm like, hey, y'all need to be honest with Steven. Y'all need to have a conversation and tell him what's going on, because he knew, to a certain extent, because he had been living with one family, he had visits with his bio mom, he had met some of his siblings, and then he came to stay with us. However, and he didn't stay with us all the time at the beginning. At first, it was just the weekends, and then we kind of gradually increased the amount of time that he was with us. And then we fostered him for about 3 years before the adoption was final. But he was very young. He was only 2 years old. I think he spent his third birthday with us. He was only 2 years old when all that happened. I try not to tell my sibling stories too much because those are theirs to tell, but this is my part of the story and how my life was impacted. So I go to my parents and I'm like, hey, y'all really need to have a conversation with him and keep him, like, be honest. It's not fair to keep this information from him and to let him find out later, and it's just going to cause so much problems, right? My parents' initial response was no, we are not doing that. We're not listening to you. I'm like, listen, I'm in an adoption class. I am at school the way that you told me to do, learning about all of these things so that I could create a career and all that stuff. And they were just like, no, we're not going to do that. We don't agree. We don't need your advice. Back the fuck back. Take that back where you got it from, right? A little time later, they actually did have a conversation with my brother. And it was hurtful because they never came to me and were like, you know what, Kaya, we thought about what you had to say, and we're sorry that we reacted like that. We decided that we are going to have that conversation. Do you have any advice on how to support him through this? Can you help us? Can you be in the room? There was nothing like that happened, right? They kind of just had this other secret conversation. I think they kind of told the rest of us, hey, yeah, we had this conversation with Steven, so now he knows, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, now what the fuck? Now y'all just gonna come in here and tell us that like this was your idea? So from very early on, and even before college, with lots and lots and lots of other things, but I bring this up because I was doing the work. I was in school. I was doing what they said I was supposed to, and they still continue to invalidate me. It was like, no, you just will always be down here beneath us. We don't have to listen to you. What you have to say has no validity, and that's just that. And that's kind of where they left it. So, of course, I'm internalizing all of that, and my parents are not safe people to have those kinds of conversations with, honestly. And that honestly part is very important, because I could try to have those conversations all day long, but they are always going to try to shift things, manipulate things, and turn them into whatever story and narrative they are holding and do not want to let go of. So I start internalizing that. I think it definitely impacted the way that I went through college, because I felt unworthy. I felt that my parents would never even recognize who I was or what I knew. Like, it was so much that I felt at the time. I didn't do as well in college as I really should have and could have, because I was so used to muting myself. I was so used to shrinking myself. I was used to like not showing people how smart I was and having to kind of dumb things down or not share my true opinion. There was just so many different things. And when it was time to write this book, all of those things began to resurface, because I had built a career in therapy so far. I had also started building Notes by Kaya, which is how they found me, right? So obviously my work, my shared experiences, and what I was doing for my community was recognized by this huge publishing company. Like, that's how good I was at what I was doing. And this, I need to say this for you all who are resonating with this already. That humble shit, kick that shit out the window. Especially if you grew up in church, they will try to humble you to keep you down here where they feel that they are. Fuck that. Do you hear me? Okay. So I'm writing this book, and I had always dreamed of being a writer. I had practiced writing since I was very young. I wrote my first novel at 15 years old, and then it got lost whenever we got rid of the computer. I was always writing stories, poems, songs, everything. So this was something that really came very naturally to me. But because of those experiences with my parents, I felt that I wasn't validated in this experience and what I was able to do. So I got through it. I had lots and lots of anxiety the entire time. I had imposter syndrome because it's like, hi, you don't even have your anxiety in check. So how are you telling these other girls how to check their anxiety? Like, eventually I got through it. But it was very hard because all that stuff that your parents say and do to you, it still lives inside until we gut that shit out, right? And I was in therapy, you know, and I worked with my therapist while I was doing this to try to help manage my anxiety. I used my coping skills to get through it. But I believe that book really could have been so much better had I had a different foundation for what I believed in myself, for having the idea that my voice does deserve to be heard, that I do know what I'm talking about, that I do have good ideas, even if they are different from yours, does not mean they're not good ideas. That just means that they are different from your ideas. And when you're publishing a book, it's all you. It's all you. It's your words, your experience, your knowledge that's all being compiled into these pages, right? And a leaf just flew to me. Somebody told me the other day that that is a spiritual sign, and so thank you. I get through writing the book. I'm not supposed to tell anybody until they give me the go ahead that I can start sharing. And so I'm like, okay. Which really, it wasn't that hard to not tell my parents because I learned over time, like, it's just not safe to tell them anything, especially anything that I care about or have particular feelings about. It's just best to not even put them in it because they tend to ruin those things. So I was like, okay, well then this was 2022 and my grandma passed away, and then the book was published a couple months later. Um, I did share with my parents that I wrote the book. I do not know, I do not think they even have one copy of the book. I had several people, sorry, just making sure, I was seeing if that was my friend coming. I had several people take pictures of when they ordered it on Amazon and they received their book. Not one of those is from my parents. I do not remember any kind of congratulations. Now they might say, yeah, of course we did. We did tell you congratulations, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember. So to me, that means even if they did, it was not in a way that was like special. It was not in a way that left any kind of positive impact on me, because to like I seriously do not remember. Like, I think most parents, good parents, supportive parents, would get a card or a cake or something, like make a big deal out of this. I remember having a conversation with my father when I was like, you know, you have all of these other entrepreneurs, business owners, all that kind of stuff that you're putting on the news. Like, you are seeking these people out, going to your producers and saying, hey, let's do a story on these people to showcase their work and what they're doing, right? I said, but you have never done that for me. And he said, oh, did you want me to? I was like, what? Like, I just published my first book and you haven't even looked at it. You probably couldn't even tell me the name of it. And you don't think that exposure on the news, where you do news stories, that maybe should happen? You didn't even think about that being an idea. You didn't come to me and say, hey, Kaya, I'm so proud of you. Like, I want to get your story on the news, like, and your book on the news. Would you be interested in doing that? Nothing. Nothing. And when I asked him about it, it was just like, oh, you want me to do that? Like, what the fuck? Like, what are we talking about, right? Um, so I get through that, whatever. After I moved from Oklahoma to South Carolina, um, I decided to go back to do a book signing. My parents did not show up. Now, I did not tell them that I was having the book signing, just like I did not tell them that I was leaving. Um, However, my mother got her information about where I was and all that stuff through evil ways. Anyway, so I did not tell them. However, that is not an excuse because other people, including my grandmother, um, the pastor at the time, and a couple other people that I did not tell directly that I was doing this book signing, and they still showed up. Still. My grandma, I know for a fact, I didn't tell her when it was, what time, what location. I did not tell her anything. And she still showed up. And my parents chose to not. And I know that they knew about it because the people that were there can't keep their mouths shut, right? And because they also believe that my parents are entitled to information about me because they're parents. There are just so many ways that they could have, even if they felt like they weren't welcome, right? And that's what excuse, if I was to bring this up to them, that's what excuse they would give, is you obviously didn't want us there or else you would have told us. And my thing is, any other time that I've like told you about things, you've kind of half-assed shown up, or you didn't show up at all, or it was just a bigger ordeal and I had to go through those emotions because of those interactions with you, that I did not want this ruined. This was a very huge moment for me, and I wasn't gonna do that. I just left that where it was. And it was hurtful because there are so many other ways that they really could have shown their support, even if they felt like they weren't welcome to come to the building or they thought I would tell them to leave. Like, I feel like for me, for my kid, because I'm trying to think, I left September. I did the book signing November because it was 11/11. And yeah, so we weren't no contact yet. No, we weren't no contact yet, but there was obviously a difference, and I very intentionally did not invite them. However, if it was my child, I'd be like, hey, you might want me to leave, but I needed you to see my face today. I needed you to see that I'm here to support you regardless, and I am willing to work on this relationship, and I want to be here for you. I want to support you. At the very least, you knew people who were going. I know how they operate, so I know that they had these conversations before the book signing even happened. I know that the people who saw it, that showed up, that I did not personally invite, they asked my parents, hey, are you going? Are you excited? Like, they asked all of these questions, right? The people who did not know about my relationship with my parents or really understand it or whatever, even the people who do, they definitely said something to my parents, okay? So my parents could have easily said, hey, I'm not sure if Kaya wants us there, but can you take this card to her? Can you give her our love? Can you take these flowers to her? Something, right? But they did absolutely nothing. There was no effort at all whatsoever. None. And that is very hard. You know what I mean? Like, it's sad, it is frustrating, it is disappointing. But what I want you to know is that regardless of if your parents support you or not, if they will validate your ideas or not, especially as a cycle breaker, because as cycle breakers, we are very different. We have very different ideas. We have very different thought processes and the way that we process information and the way that we view the world. right? And typically that is very different from most of the people in our family. So a lot of times we are left like, okay, am I wrong? And we're questioning ourselves, we're questioning our ideas, we're questioning our validity in the world. And I ended up not really taking that book, and I still can, right? There's still, doors are never closed. So I still can take that book way beyond what it has been. But I would say that those experiences really hurt me. And it made it hard to truly show the book because it was hard to be proud. You know, I was already dealing with the grief. And I think that part too, my grandma literally died 2 months before the book was published. September, my grandma left me, my granny. November, the book was published. And none of them thought to say, hey, Kaya, I'm sure that this is hard because you don't get to share this with your granny. Are you okay? How can we support you? How can we be here for you? And I just don't understand why parents are like this. You push us so hard to go to school, to get careers, to do big things in the world, but then when we do them, you have nothing nice to say. Like, what kind of fucking sense does that make? So I want you to know, because even though I talk about parents and what they did to us, this is about us. It is no longer about them. Our lives do not center them anymore. This is about you recognizing what they did to you, acknowledging that, acknowledging the pain and the hurt that it has caused. Then I want you to release it and understand that they are not the end all be all of anything. Anything. Do you hear me? I don't give a fuck what your parents say. I don't care what they think about you. I don't care what they say about you or to you. And I don't mean that in it doesn't matter, because it does. Trust me. I have been there. I have experienced the hurt. Like, this is only one easy beatsy tiny little bit of my story with my parents. And this is towards the end. So when I started to finally decenter them and just create my own life separate from them. So the things that happened leading up, oh my God, like, they're just so much bigger than this. So I want you to know that I understand. And I'm not saying that it doesn't matter, as in your pain is not valid, because it is very valid, which is why I am doing this. What I want you to get is that it doesn't have to impact anything else. Now, it does have an impact. It does show up, which is why we are having these conversations. However, it does not have to keep you stuck. It does not have to keep you believing negative things about yourself. It does not have to keep you playing small when you know damn well that God created you for something bigger than these trees out here. Do you hear me? Your life now is about you. And all of those things, yes, they hurt. But the more that you hold so tight onto them, it's not like the memories are just going to go away. Now, anyway, that's a whole different video. I can't even go into all of that, but it's not like the memories just go away. The pain doesn't just disappear. There is work to be done in order to heal from those things and to become whole again. Okay? But I need you to know that there is a version of your life where your parents' words, their thoughts, their opinions, their views of you are not valid. It doesn't mean anything about you and your abilities and your gifts. Do you hear me? What they said to you, what they said about you, how they treated you, says more about them than it does you. And as a cycle breaker, a lot of time, for whatever reason, they want us to believe that we are just wrong because we refuse to play into the cycles that they keep going. But I want you to see yourself. Man, I'm getting like emotional about this because I feel a lot of you who are going to watch this video, I feel your presence. And I feel the pain that you have endured at the hands of your own parents. And you didn't deserve that. And you've been shrinking, you've been playing small, you have been invalidating your own self because you don't know how to do anything else, because your parents were supposed to be the example of how to cheer for yourself, how to believe in yourself, and they did the complete opposite. They tore you down instead. They said, we don't want to hear it instead. They said, oh, just be quiet instead. And that's not what you were supposed to have. However, it does not have to keep you there. Understood? Okay? All right. I have a support group coming up June 13th. That is for Father's Day, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is virtual. So you can come as you are from wherever you are. Ooh, excuse me. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. And then I am also hosting a 3-day workshop for healing from your toxic parents and healing that abuse, healing the wounds, healing your parent wounds. And I'm gonna do that in June and July. So you have 2 different opportunities to sign up. You actually can sign up for both if you so choose. Because I guarantee you there'll be some stuff. If you go to both, there'll be some stuff in one of them that you didn't necessarily catch in the same way if you go to the other. So you are more than welcome to come to both. I have a planter membership. The first tier of our membership is only $67 a month. And what that gets you is access to our private chat where we talking shit and, you know, doing all that on Slack. And not just talking shit, but lifting each other up, motivating each other, inspiring each other, and also giving a safe space for the hurt and all of that. You will also get a discount on the support group. So what I would do, and the workshops and all of that, what I would do if I were you is join the membership first. Okay? Join the membership first. Get your code that you can then apply to everything else. Okay, so you're going to get 30% off of the support group. You're going to get 30% off of the workshops and all of that. Okay, so that's just how I would do that. But you do you, boo. Like, whatever you want to do. I am here. If you have any questions, please DM me. I am at Notes by Kaya on pretty much everything. Instagram, Threads, I am on quite a bit. I'm working my way back to TikTok. Really what I want you to know is that you are more worthy than what your parents have made you feel. And do not allow them to take away from your positive experiences. Because really, I should have had an even bigger party for that book. An even bigger party. But because I was so stuck in that sadness of my parents not even showing up for me, or, you know, whatever, and how I was feeling because of them, I didn't. And we deserve better than that. Okay? All right, I'll talk to y'all in the next video. Bye.